Welcome back. Well, the markets are under pressure, but let's focus on one company from the telecom space. Vodafone Idea announced its FPO. The company plans to raise around 18,000 crore rupees via this process. Reema Tendulkar quizzed the management during a press conference on their 5G rollout plans, the tariff hikes, and other important issues. Let's listen in to what the management had to say.
Our plan is to roll out 40% of our revenue coverage over the next 24 to 30 months. So that is our plan, let's say, for the next 2.5 years. We have all seen how 5G has evolved, and generally we will be calibrated in our 5G investments as we progress, because it is important that we deploy 5G where it makes sense. But in terms of an overall target is 40% revenue coverage over the next 2 to 2.5 years.
Okay. On tariff hikes, since that's one of the major drivers for ARPU increase, when do you think we are likely to see a tariff hike, and your own expectation of how much are we going to see? How much can the industry absorb? The market, sorry.
So I would say that in terms of timing, unfortunately, I cannot give you any guidance at this point of time. I can only allude back to the factors which make the need for tariff correction very important. First is, as I said, India has amongst the lowest ARPU amongst major economies in the world, 1/3 of China or less than 1/3 of China. Secondly, none of the operators in India are returning their cost of capital, and you heard commentary from peers as to what is the ARPU level needed for getting to a place where you can cover your cost of capital. We are way below that. The third is that ARPU will increase just by way of upgradation. So on the point of tariff, difficult to say when it will happen. We have some expectation. I cannot mention that here right now.
But your own internal expectation, do you think it's likely in this calendar year after elections?
Unfortunately, it's a valid question, but I'm constrained not to be able to answer that at this point of time. In terms of size of increase, I think you have seen what kind of increases have happened in the past, and I would say that should be a reasonable way to think about it.
How much of, what about Industar's receivables? Have you earmarked, from the fundraise, how much will go to pay off Industar's receivables?
So I think we have given the details of the utilization of funding. Part of it is for CAPEX, part of it is for spectrum payments. There's an amount which is under general corporate purposes, which we can use as per our discretion. But you would have also seen the RHP that we cannot use the funds for making any payments to promoter or promoter group companies, and that would be the governing factor.
Okay. Just one more question. Just doing the math, if once the moratorium comes to an end in the second half of FY26, the math seems to suggest that it will be difficult for you to meet the obligations. What is the government's thinking on the way forward, since they are the single largest stakeholder? Is there a possibility we will see some relief from the government? Maybe the moratorium gets extended?
So let me answer that, and if Sushil or Ravinder want to add anything, I'll request them to do so. Fundamentally, if you recollect the reforms package which was announced in September 21, the government had provided for that the installment series, which is arising out of the deferment of 4 years, which will start after September 25, as per the reforms package, that can be converted to equity by the government. So I would say that we plan to pay the government installments out of our cash generation. However, there is a government support available in the form of the reforms package, which states that some installments or whichever can be converted at the government's option. So the government support exists in a way there.
But that will entail a large dilution, converting some of those installments into equity.
So let's say that today the government is at 32% shareholding. With this issue making certain assumptions, they would get to a 24% shareholding. You can do your own calculation, but our rough sense is that if that conversion were to happen, they will probably not exceed the levels, or they would be in the ballpark of the levels where they are today. So I don't think that is a cause of concern for us.
Well, that's Vodafone Idea talking about that mega follow-on public offer that the company has launched, and what it will mean for, of course, the firm getting a fresh equity lease of life, and the government's own interest and its own equity stake in Vodafone Idea. Well, let's stick to...
Thanks for tuning in to CNBC TV 18, and for more news and updates, follow us on all the social media platforms.